Ghost Stories from the 1st century CE. This is the book, The Letters of the Younger Pliny. He lived from around 61 CE to about 113 CE. And in a letter that he wrote to one Licinius Sura, he documents this ghost story. Now consider whether the following story, which I will tell just as it was told to me, is not quite as remarkable and even more terrifying. In Athens, there was a large and spacious mansion with the bad reputation of being dangerous to its occupants. At dead of night, the clanking of iron, and if you listened carefully, the rattle of chains could be heard. Some way off at first and then close at hand. Then there appeared the specter of an old man, emaciated and filthy, with a long flowing beard and hair on end, wearing fetters on his legs and shaking the chains on his wrist. The wretched occupants would spend fearful nights awake in terror. Lack of sleep led to illness and then death as their dread increased, for even during the day, when the apparition had vanished, the memory of it was in their mind's eye, so that the terror remained after the cause of it had gone. The house was therefore deserted, condemned to stand empty and wholly abandoned to the specter. But it was advertised as being to let or for sale in case someone was found who knew nothing of its evil reputation. The philosopher Athenodorus came to Athens and read the notice. His suspicions were aroused when he heard the low price, and the whole story came out on inquiry. But he was nonetheless, in fact, all the more, eager to rent the house. When darkness fell, he gave orders that a couch was to be made for him in the front part of the house, and asked for his notebooks, pen, and a lamp. He sent all his servants to the inner rooms and concentrated his thoughts, eyes and hand on his writing, so that his mind would be occupied and not conjure up the phantom he had heard about, nor other imaginary fears. At first, there was nothing but the general silence of night. Then came the clanking of iron and dragging of chains. He did not look up nor stop writing, but stilled his mind to shut out the sounds. Then the noise grew louder, came nearer, was heard in the doorway, and then inside the room he looked round, saw and recognized the ghost described to him. It stood and beckoned as if summoning him. Athenodorus, in his turn, signed to it to wait a little, and again bent over his notes and pen, while it stood rattling its chains over his head as he wrote. He looked round again and saw it beckoning as before, so without further delay he picked up his lamp and followed. It moved slowly, as if weighed down with chains, and when it turned off into the courtyard of the house, it suddenly vanished, leaving him alone. He then picked some plants and leaves and marked the spot. The following day, he approached the magistrates and advised them to give orders for the place to be dug up. There they found bones, twisted round with chains, which were left bare and corroded by the fetters when time and the action of the soil had rotted away the body. The bones were collected and given a public burial, and after the shades had been duly laid to rest, the house saw them no more.